The moment you finally stand up for yourself, draw a boundary, and take back your power from a narcissist. You might think they'll be a little angry, maybe sad, or that you can have a reasonable conversation. Well, you'd be dead wrong. When a narcissist realizes they can't control you anymore, they don't just get upset. They literally lose their minds and become the most dangerous version of themselves you've ever seen. You have to understand that for a narcissist, control isn't just something they want, it's a fundamental need. Why do narcissists need control like oxygen? Because beneath that charming, confident, larger-than-life mask they wear is a deeply insecure, fragile ego that cannot handle the slightest challenge to its authority. Their entire sense of self is built on a house of cards, and that house is built out of your compliance, your attention, and your submission. You are the mirror that reflects the grandiose image they have of themselves. So, when you start to turn away, when that reflection is no longer worshipful, the mirror cracks, and they will do anything to fix it or shatter it completely. Their control over you is what regulates their chaotic inner world. Without it, they are nothing. In my 45 years of practice, I've seen this pattern so many times it's practically textbook. I remember this one patient whose husband was a classic, high-functioning narcissist, a successful businessman, pillar of the community, a real charmer to everyone on the outside. But at home, he controlled every aspect of her life, who she could see, what she could spend, even what she wore. For years, she went along with it. But one day, she decided to enroll in a community college course without his permission. A small act of independence, right? To him, it was a declaration of war. The mask didn't just slip, it shattered. The calm, collected husband was gone, replaced by a raging, paranoid stranger who accused her of plotting against him, of trying to humiliate him. He couldn't compute a world where he wasn't pulling every string. So what happens in their brain when control slips away? It's a process called narcissistic injury. This isn't just getting your feelings hurt. It's a profound, terrifying threat to their very identity. Their brain perceives the loss of control as an existential threat, triggering a primal fight or flight response. But for a narcissist, flight is not an option. That would be admitting defeat. So they fight, and they fight dirty. This isn't just my opinion from decades in the field. The research backs it up. Studies by K.J. Ervik and Bushman, for instance, have shown that narcissism is linked to a significant increase in aggression. We're talking about a 21% increase in aggression, both direct and indirect. That's a scientifically measured leap towards hostility when their ego is threatened. Now let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Have you ever witnessed a complete personality change in someone when they realized you weren't going to play their game anymore? 1 minute, they're the person you thought you knew, and the next, it's like a monster is looking out through their eyes. Drop a comment and tell me what you saw, because I want to hear your experience. Your story might be the one that helps someone else recognize they're not crazy and they're not alone. What you're seeing in those moments is the beginning of a predictable psychological meltdown. There are stages to this, a playbook they all seem to follow when they lose their primary source of narcissistic supply. That's you. I'm going to give you a preview of what's coming in this psychological meltdown so you can see the pattern and protect yourself. First, they erupt with a terrifying rage. When that doesn't work, they might flip the script completely and start love bombing you, pretending to be everything you ever wanted. If you don't fall for that, they move on to destroying your reputation in a vicious smear campaign. And if that still doesn't break you, it can escalate into stalking and even faking health crisis or threatening suicide. Finally, if all else fails, they perform the ultimate act of cruelty, the cold, swift discard, replacing you as if you never existed at all. This is the gauntlet you have to run when you break free. Each stage is designed to terrify, manipulate, and exhaust you until you crawl back into their cage. But you ain't prepared for what I'm about to tell you about their first move. You need to be, because when that mask comes off, the first thing you're going to see is pure, unadulterated rage, and that's what we're diving into next. Let me tell you something about narcissistic rage. It ain't your garden variety anger. This is something else entirely, and it's designed for one purpose and one purpose only: to terrorize you back into submission. This isn't a momentary loss of temper. It's a psychological weapon deployed with strategic precision. A normal person gets angry, they might yell, they might say things they regret, but there's a limit, and usually there's remorse. Narcissistic rage has no limit, and there is absolutely no remorse. It is a terrifying, all-consuming firestorm with you at the epicenter. So what triggers this nuclear meltdown? You have to understand the triggers are not what a rational person would consider reasonable. We're not talking about you cheating or crashing their car. We're talking about you having an opinion they don't share, you wanting to spend time with your own friends or family, you getting a promotion at work, you looking at them the wrong way. Anything, and I mean anything, that they perceive as a challenge to their absolute authority and control is a trigger. The most dangerous trigger of all, you saying no and meaning it. That simple two-letter word is a declaration of independence they cannot tolerate, and it will unleash the storm. When it happens, you'll see it before you even hear it. The physical manifestations are chilling. You'll see their facial expression shift in an instant. The charming smile vanishes, replaced by a cold, hard mask. Their eyes will change. I call it shark eyes. They go flat, dead, and predatory. Their jaw will clench so tight you can see the muscles bulge in their cheeks. Their whole body language transforms. They might puff out their chest, stand over you, or use their physical presence to intimidate and corner you. Their voice will change too. It might drop to a low, menacing growl, or it might become eerily calm and quiet, which is often even more terrifying than the shouting, because you know it's the prelude to an explosion. Then comes the verbal assault, and this is where they are masters of cruelty. It's not a logical argument. It's a chaotic, vicious attack designed to disorient and wound you. They will use word salad, a jumble of accusations and circular reasoning that makes no sense and is impossible to respond to. They will project all of their own ugly behaviors onto you, accusing you of being the narcissist, the abuser, the one who is crazy. They will dredge up every mistake you've ever made, every vulnerability you've ever shared with them in a moment of trust, and they will weaponize it all against you. The things they say are designed to hit you where you are weakest, to dismantle your self-esteem piece by piece until you feel worthless and completely alone. The research is clear on this. Studies show this rage isn't just yelling. It often includes physical threats or a campaign of spreading vicious lies to destroy your reputation and isolate you from your support system. I treated this couple where the wife was dealing with a malignant narcissist husband. For years, he had her convinced she was incompetent, emotionally unstable, and lucky to have him. When she finally got into therapy and started building a little bit of strength, she stood up to him on a small financial issue. She calmly said she didn't agree with a large purchase he wanted to make. The rage that followed was terrifying. He didn't hit her, not at first. Instead, he punched a hole in the wall right next to her head. He shattered a glass on the floor. He stood over her, his voice a low hiss, and spent an hour telling her how pathetic she was, how no one else would ever want her, and how he would ruin her financially and socially if she ever thought about leaving. He was using the environment and his words to terrorize her, to show her what he was capable of without leaving a single bruise on her body. That is the intimidation factor. It's psychological warfare. This rage is a tool to instill fear, and fear is their ultimate control mechanism. When you are afraid, you are compliant. When you are afraid, you walk on eggshells. When you are afraid, you start to believe that maybe his anger is your fault. The constant threat of these eruptions creates a state of chronic anxiety and trauma that keeps you trapped. And that's why it works on most people. It's exhausting. It breaks you down. It makes the idea of just giving in and making it stop seem like the only path to peace, even though it's a false peace that will be shattered by the next inevitable explosion. This is where I have to get very serious with you. This rage escalates. The line between breaking objects and breaking bones is terrifyingly thin. If their rage includes threats of violence, If they are cornering you, blocking your exit, or destroying property, you are in danger. Your safety has to be your one and only priority. Do not stay and argue. Do not try to calm them down. You leave. You get to a safe place and you call for help, period. So what is your response strategy when you're in the middle of a rage storm that hasn't yet escalated to physical danger? You must learn to disengage. Do not justify, argue, defend, or explain. Trying to reason with them is like trying to reason with a hurricane. They are not interested in your logic or your feelings. Any response you give is fuel for their fire. You must become a gray rock. Be as boring, unresponsive, and uninteresting as a gray rock on the ground. Give short, I see. Okay, I'm not going to discuss this right now. Do not make eye contact. Do not show emotion. Your power is in your refusal to participate in their drama. State your boundary. I will not be spoken to this way, and then physically remove yourself from the situation. Go to another room. Go for a walk. The goal is not to win the argument. The goal is to get off the battlefield. But here's what's really insidious. When the rage doesn't work, when they scream and threaten and break things, and you still don't come crawling back, they don't give up. They switch tactics completely, and what comes next can be even more confusing and dangerous than the rage itself. You think you've seen manipulation. You think that rage storm we just talked about was the worst of it. Wait until you see what happens when a narcissist realizes their anger isn't getting you back. They don't just give up and walk away. No, that would be too easy. Instead, they execute the most dizzying, deceptive pivot you will ever witness. They become the person you always wished they were. But I'm telling you right now, it's all a lie. This is the sudden personality flip, and it is absolutely breathtaking in its execution. The raging monster from yesterday is gone, and in their place is a gentle, remorseful, loving partner who seems to finally get it. This is the beginning of the love bomb explosion. It's an overwhelming tsunami of affection, gifts, promises, and attention. You'll get flowers delivered to your work. You'll get long, tearful text messages about how they can't live without you, how they've seen the error of their ways, how they're going to go to therapy and change for good. They will plan romantic getaways. They will buy you the thing you mentioned you wanted months ago. They are, for all intents and purposes, playing the role of your perfect partner. This entire performance is a strategy called Hoovering, and the name is no accident. Just like a Hoover vacuum, their goal is to find all kinds of ways to try to suck you back into the relationship. They are creating an emotional vortex designed to pull you back into their orbit. Hoovering isn't just about being nice, it's a calculated campaign to exploit your empathy and your hope. And part of that campaign is faking repentance. You have to know how to spot fake versus genuine change. Genuine change is quiet. It's consistent over a long period. It involves actions, not just words. Fake repentance is a Broadway production. It's loud, dramatic, and full of grand gestures. They'll make a big show of booking one therapy appointment. They'll write you a 10-page letter confessing all their sins, while subtly blaming you for their reactions. They'll promise you the moon and the stars, but if you look closely, there's no real, sustained effort behind it. It's a performance, and it only lasts as long as it needs to for you to let your guard down. The common hoovering tactics are predictable. They'll manufacture emergencies, a sudden health crisis, a car breakdown near your house, a family problem that only you can help with. They'll use your friends and family, turning them into flying monkeys who deliver messages about how much the narcissist misses you and has changed. They'll accidentally show up at your favorite coffee shop or your gym. Each of these tactics is designed to force an interaction to break through the no contact boundary you've tried to set up. I've seen this my whole life. My father, who I believe was a covert narcissist, would do this exact thing whenever my mother finally got the courage to leave. After a period of intense criticism and coldness, she would pack a bag. And like clockwork, within 24 hours, he would transform. He'd suddenly have a health scare that required her to come home. He'd call her crying, something he never did otherwise, telling her how he couldn't manage the house without her. He would be the kind, attentive man she fell in love with, and because she was a deeply empathetic person, she would go back every single time, hoping this time it would be real. It never was. The psychological manipulation at play here is incredibly powerful, especially on good, empathetic people. You want to believe them. You fell in love with the person they're pretending to be now, and seeing them act this way feels like a prayer answered. It validates the hope you've been clinging to. This is where trauma bonding comes in. A trauma bond is a powerful psychological attachment to an abuser, formed during a cycle of abuse followed by intermittent reinforcement. The love bombing. Your brain becomes addicted to the highs of the good times to survive the lows of the bad times. When they hoover, they are feeding that addiction, giving you a hit of the affection you've been starved for. With every successful hoover, they are systematically breaking down your defenses. Each time you let them back in, your boundaries are eroded a little more. You start to doubt your own judgment. Maybe I was too harsh. You'll think, maybe it wasn't that bad. This is exactly what they want. They are conditioning you to accept the unacceptable, to believe that the cycle of abuse is normal. Because make no mistake, this always leads back to the abuse. The love bombing phase is temporary. Once they feel secure again, once they know they have you back under control, the mask will slip and the rage and cruelty will return. And each time it gets a little bit worse. So you have to know the red flags. Distinguishing manipulation from genuine change is critical for your survival. Red flag number 1, it's all about them. Listen to their apologies. Are they saying, "I'm so sorry for how my actions made you feel"? Or are they saying, "Can't believe you made me get so angry"? Or, "I'm just so miserable without me"? Red flag number 2, it's all words and no action. They promise to go to therapy but never follow through. They promise to change, but their behavior remains the same after the initial love bombing fades. Red flag number 3, they pressure you for a quick resolution. They don't want to give you space, they want you back now. They'll say things like, "If you really loved me, you'd forgive me." Your defense strategy is to be a fortress. You have to hold on to your reality and resist the pull without feeling guilty. This is not easy. You will feel guilty. They are counting on it. You have to remind yourself constantly of the rage. Write it down if you have to. Just keep a journal of the bad times so you can read it when the fake good times are trying to cloud your memory. Go full no contact if you can. Block their number, their social media, everything. If you have to communicate because of children, keep it brief business, and only about the necessary logistics. Do not get pulled into emotional conversations. You are not responsible for their happiness, their health, or their life. You are only responsible for yours. When love bombing fails to get you back, when you resist the gifts and the promises and the fake tears, that's when they get really creative with their lies. That's when they decide that if they can't control you, they will control what everyone else thinks of you. All right, let's get down to the brass tacks. You've survived the rage. You've resisted the love bombing. You've held your ground. Now, here's where it gets really ugly. When a narcissist can't get you back, they decide if they can't have you, they're going to make sure nobody else wants you either. Welcome to the smear campaign. This isn't just gossip. This is psychological warfare. It is a calculated, systematic, and ruthless campaign of character assassination designed to destroy your reputation, isolate you from your support system, and leave you completely broken. The character assassination begins the moment they realize all other tactics have failed. Their twisted logic is, if I can't control her, I will control how the world sees her. They will become the writer, director, and star of a tragic play where they are the noble victim and you are the unhinged, abusive villain. And they will stop at nothing to sell this story to anyone who will listen. Their first move is to recruit their army. These are what we call flying monkeys, a term taken from the Wizard of Oz. They are the people the narcissist uses to do their dirty work. They'll go to your mutual friends, to your family, to your colleagues with a well-rehearsed story of heartbreak. They'll cry, they'll look wounded. They'll say things like, "I don't know what happened, she just changed overnight. I'm so worried about her mental state." They prey on the empathy of good people, twisting them into weapons to be used against you. Your own friends and family will start calling you just to check in, but what they're really doing is gathering information for the narcissist and pressuring you to go back. Then they take the war to the most public battlefield of all, social media. This is where they can inflict maximum damage with minimum effort. They'll post vague, passive-aggressive statuses designed to make you look bad. Things like, "So sad when you give your whole heart to someone only to be betrayed," knowing that dozens of people will rush to their defense. They might create fake accounts to harass you or to anonymously spread lies in community groups. They will take your old posts, your photos, your private messages, and twist them out of context to paint you as unstable, a cheater, or a liar. They are masters of digital manipulation, turning your own online presence into a weapon against you. In some of the most extreme cases, this campaign extends to workplace sabotage. They might contact your boss with concerns about your erratic behavior. They might spread rumors among your colleagues. They know that your professional reputation is tied to your livelihood, and by attacking it, they can create immense financial and emotional distress, hoping it will force you to come crawling back. The absolute cornerstone of the smear campaign is their victim narrative. They will meticulously rewrite the entire history of your relationship. Every argument was your fault. Every one of their abusive outbursts was a reaction to something you did. They will portray themselves as the long, suffering partner who did everything they could to save a relationship with a deeply troubled person. And the most insidious part of this is a tactic called projection. They will take all of their own toxic behaviors, the lying, the cheating, the manipulation, the rage, and they will accuse you of doing those very things. They'll tell people you were the controlling one. They'll say you were the one who flew into rages. It's so audacious, so contrary to reality that it often leaves the real victim speechless and confused, which is exactly the point. I had this patient whose ex-husband, a malignant narcissist, started a full-blown public relations campaign against her after she filed for divorce. He was a respected member of their church. He went to the pastor, to their friends, to the parents at their kids' school, and wove this intricate tale of how she was mentally ill, an alcoholic, and an unfit mother. He used their joint bank account statements to prove she was financially irresponsible, conveniently leaving out that he was the one who made all the extravagant purchases. He had friends testifying to her erratic behavior, which was really just her emotional response to his years of abuse. He was so convincing, so charmingly heartbroken that for a time everyone believed him. She lost friends, she was ostracized from her community, and she almost lost custody of her children. This is why documentation is not just important, it is absolutely critical. You have to become a court reporter for your own life. Save every text message, every email, every voicemail. Screenshot the social media posts. Keep a detailed, dated journal of every incident of harassment, every lie you discover they've told. This isn't about being petty, it's about building a case to protect yourself, because a smear campaign can have very real legal implications. When their lies cross the line into slander and defamation, your documentation is the only proof you have. The emotional impact of character assassination is devastating. It attacks your very sense of self. When people you've known and trusted for years start to look at you with suspicion, you begin to doubt your own reality. It creates a profound sense of isolation and paranoia. You feel like you have nowhere to turn. This is how they manipulate your entire community against you, cutting you off from the very support you need to heal. So what are your counter strategies? First, you have to resist the urge to defend yourself publicly. Getting into a mud-slinging contest on social media is a game you will never win. They have no shame, you do. Instead, you identify your core group of trusted allies, the one or two friends or family members who truly know you and believe you. You give them the facts, calmly and without drama. They will be your ambassadors. For everyone else, you must take the high road. Your dignity is your shield. When people ask, you can say something simple and final like, "There are two sides to every story, and I'm not going to discuss the painful details of my private life." Your calm demeanor will be a stark contrast to the narcissist's frantic drama, and over time, people will see the truth. Focus on your own life, your own healing, and your own happiness. Your success is your best revenge. But when public humiliation doesn't break you, when you refuse to be destroyed by their lies, they resort to something even more disturbing. They decide that if they can't ruin your life from a distance, they'll insert themselves back into it, whether you want them to or not. If you think what I've told you so far is disturbing, if you think the rage and the lies are the worst of it, you need to brace yourself. Wait until you hear about what happens when a narcissist decides you're not allowed to have a life without them in it. When the smear campaign fails to isolate you, when you refuse to be broken by their lies, they move from trying to ruin your life from a distance to invading it up close. This is the stalking phase, and it is one of the most terrifying and dangerous stages of breaking free. Let's be crystal clear about what stalking is in this context. This is not romantic. This is not some misguided attempt to win you back. This is about power, possession, and a terrifying refusal to accept defeat. Stalking behaviors are a direct extension of their need for control. You have taken away their power, so they will reinsert themselves into your world by force, creating a climate of fear that makes you feel like you are never truly alone and never safe. They want you to know they are watching. That feeling of being watched is, to them, a form of control. It starts insidiously. The first front in this war is almost always digital. We call this digital stalking. They will follow you online and on social media, not just your own profile, but the profiles of your friends, your family, your new acquaintances. They become digital ghosts, obsessively monitoring your every move. But it goes deeper than that. They might use spyware they installed on your phone or computer when you were together. They might use tracking technology, like putting an AirTag on your car, to monitor your physical location 24/7. They will try to hack into your emails, your social media accounts, your cloud storage, looking for information they can use against you. Your digital life becomes a fishbowl, and they are staring in at all times. When that isn't enough to satisfy their obsession, it escalates to physical stalking. Suddenly, they're coincidentally at your grocery store every time you go. They just happen to be at the same restaurant. They will drive by your house multiple times a day. They will sit in their car in your parking lot at work or down the street from your home, just watching. Each of these instances is designed to send a clear message. I can get to you whenever I want. You are not free of me. It's a constant low-grade terror designed to wear you down and make you feel like escape is impossible. And in the most frightening cases, it escalates to home invasion. They might use an old key they never returned to enter your home while you're out, maybe moving an object just slightly so you know they were there. It's a sick mind game. And I'm telling you, I have had patients who discovered their narcissistic ex had put cameras in their house. Can you imagine the violation? The absolute horror of realizing the one place you are supposed to be safe has been turned into their private surveillance center. This is not the behavior of a heartbroken lover. This is the behavior of a predator. The psychology behind this is rooted in their pathological inability to accept losing control. In their mind, you don't have the right to end the relationship. You are not a separate human being with your own agency. You are an object, a possession that belongs to them. When you leave, you have stolen their property. Their fragile ego cannot handle this narcissistic injury. They cannot compute a reality where you exist, and especially a reality where you might be happy without them. So they obsess. Stalking is their desperate, pathetic attempt to re-establish their dominance and force you back into the role of their possession. You have to recognize the escalation patterns because this is where it becomes life-threatening. Stalking is a major predictor of future violence. It rarely stays at one level. If they are violating your boundaries in these ways, it shows a profound lack of respect for you, for the law, and for human decency. When someone shows you they are willing to break the law by stalking you, you have to believe them. This is a 5-alarm fire. This brings me to legal protections. You must not handle this alone. The moment you recognize a pattern of stalking, you need to start a paper trail and contact law enforcement. That documentation we talked about in the last chapter. It's your lifeline now. Log every unwanted text, call, and email. Screenshot every social media interaction. Write down the date, time, and location of every drive-by or coincidental encounter. Install security cameras. Your phone is your best evidence-gathering tool. This evidence is what you will need to get a restraining order or an order of protection. These legal documents are not just pieces of paper. They are a tool that allows police to arrest the stalker if they violate the order. Do not be afraid to use the legal system. It is there to protect you. I worked with this woman whose narcissistic ex-boyfriend was a police officer, which made her terrified to report him. It started with him creating fake social media profiles to watch her. Then he started showing up at her yoga class. One day, her friend saw him sitting in his car outside her apartment building for over an hour. The final straw was when he used his police access to run her new boyfriend's license plate. She was terrified, but she documented everything. She took photos of his car outside her building. She saved the messages from the fake accounts. She went not to his precinct, but to a domestic violence advocacy group who helped her navigate the system and present her case to a different jurisdiction. It was a long, scary process, but she got the restraining order, and because he was a cop, the threat of him losing his job for violating it was enough to finally make him stop. Your personal and technological safety is paramount. Change all your passwords, all of them. Use two-factor authentication on everything. Wipe your phone and do a factory reset. Have a mechanic you trust sweep your car for tracking devices. Change your locks. Vary your daily routines. Don't go to the same coffee shop at the same time every day. Inform your boss, your building security, and a few trusted neighbors. Give them a picture of the person and their car. Do not be embarrassed. You are not the one doing something wrong. You must recognize the warning signs that the situation is about to escalate to physical violence. If the frequency of the stalking increases, if they start showing up at your home or work, if they make any direct or veiled threats, if they have a history of violence, or if they start talking about weapons, you are in immediate danger. This is when you call 911. You do not hesitate. You do not second-guess yourself. When stalking doesn't bring you back, when you put up legal walls and refuse to be intimidated, that's when they realize they are truly losing. And that's when they play their cruelest, most manipulative card of all. Now we're getting into the most manipulative, most despicable tactics a narcissist will use when they are truly desperate. When the rage, the lies, the love bombing, and the stalking have all failed, they pull out the emotional nuclear option. They'll literally threaten their own life to control yours. This is the absolute bottom of the barrel, a level of emotional blackmail so toxic and so cruel that it can scar you for life if you don't understand what's happening. This is where they threaten to commit suicide or become careless with their health. You'll get a frantic, tearful phone call in the middle of the night. I can't live without you. If you don't come back, I'm going to end it all. You'll get texts with pictures of them holding a bottle of pills. They'll tell your friends and family that you have pushed them to the brink and their death will be on your hands. This is not a genuine cry for help. It is a cold, calculated act of terrorism designed to drag you back into their control through the most powerful human emotions, guilt and fear. The manipulation psychology here is devastatingly effective, especially on a compassionate person. They know you're not a monster. They know you don't want anyone to get hurt, especially not someone you once loved. They are weaponizing your own decency against you. They are creating a no-win situation where you feel you have two choices. Either you go back to them and sacrifice your own well-being, or you stay away and live with the possibility that you are responsible for their death. It is the ultimate guilt trap. This manipulation often extends to health sabotage. If they have a pre-existing condition like diabetes or heart disease, they may stop taking their medication or refuse to go to the hospital for a legitimate issue, all while making sure you know about it. They'll say things like, well, I don't have you to remind me to take my pills anymore, or my heart can't take this stress. The doctor said I need to avoid emotional upset. They are making you feel responsible for their physical health, turning their body into a hostage to control your actions. And if they don't have a real illness, they'll invent one. They are masters at creating fake medical emergencies for attention. They'll suddenly develop mysterious, untreatable symptoms that only seem to flare up when you're trying to pull away. They'll call you from the emergency room for a panic attack that they'll claim was brought on by the stress of you leaving. These fake illnesses are just another tool to hoover you back in, to force you to play the role of caretaker, and to make you feel too guilty to leave them in their time of need. So how do you distinguish a real threat from a manipulative one? It's incredibly difficult, and that's part of the manipulation. But there are warning signs. Manipulative threats are often vague and conditional. If you don't do what I want, then I'll. They are often very public, designed to get a reaction from you and others. A person who is genuinely suicidal is often withdrawn in private. A manipulative threat is a performance. A genuine crisis is a quiet tragedy. But here's the most important thing I can tell you, and I want you to listen closely. It does not matter if it's real or fake. Your response must be the same every single time. In 45 years, I've seen this pattern countless times. My advice never changes. You are not a psychiatrist. You are not a paramedic. You are not a crisis negotiator. It is not your job, your role, or your responsibility to manage their mental or physical health. Trying to do so will not only fail, but it will also destroy you in the process. Your emotional response is to feel an overwhelming sense of responsibility, and they are counting on that. You have to fight that feeling with logic. You have to break free from the guilt trap by understanding this fundamental truth. You are not responsible for another adult's choices, actions, or feelings. Full stop. Their decision to harm themselves, whether real or threatened, is their decision alone. It is a reflection of their own internal chaos. It's not a reflection of your worth or your actions. So when you are faced with one of these threats, you must take it seriously, but you must not take responsibility. Here is the safety protocol, and you must follow it without deviation. The moment they threaten suicide or self-harm, you say, "I'm very concerned to hear you say that, and I'm calling for help right now." And then you hang up and you call 911 or your local emergency services. You tell them the person's name, location, and that they are threatening to harm themselves. Then you block their number. You do not engage further. This action does two things. One, if the threat is genuine, you have done the single most responsible thing you can do. You have connected them with trained professionals who can actually help them. Two, if the threat is manipulative, you have called their bluff and shown them that this tactic will not work. It will result not in you rushing to their side, but in police and paramedics showing up at their door. Manipulators hate having their drama exposed to the authorities. They will learn very quickly that this is not a button they can push to control you. They will also try to use family and children in these scenarios, telling the kids, "Mommy, Daddy is going to die because you're not here." This is a despicable form of abuse, and it requires you to get professional intervention from therapists and, if necessary, child protective services to shield your children from this emotional poison. There are also legal considerations. In many places, if a person is deemed a danger to themselves or others, they can be placed on an involuntary psychiatric hold. Your call to emergency services can initiate this process, which is a legal and medical intervention, not a personal one. It takes the burden off of you and places it where it belongs, in the hands of the system designed to handle it. Healing from this type of emotional terrorism is a long process. You have to grieve the relationship you thought you had and accept the reality of the manipulation you endured. You have to constantly reinforce the truth that you are not responsible for their actions. This often requires professional help to untangle the web of guilt and fear they have woven around you. But here's their final, most heartless move when all else fails. When they realize that even threatening their own life won't control you, they make one last, chilling move that reveals their true nature. And here's the most chilling thing about narcissists: the final act in their playbook that will leave you breathless with its cruelty. When they have tried everything, the rage, the lies, the love bombing, the stalking, the emotional blackmail, and they finally realize they can't control you, they can turn off their feelings like a light switch and replace you as if you never meant anything at all. This is the cold discard, and it is the ultimate proof that it was never about love. It was only ever about control. The immediate replacement is staggering. One day, they are threatening to die without you. The next day, their social media is plastered with pictures of them and their new soulmate, looking happier than they ever did with you. They will immediately replace you as if you never existed, and they will do it with a speed and enthusiasm that is designed to break your heart into a million pieces. You're left reeling, wondering, did any of it mean anything? Did they ever care at all? The answer, I'm sorry to tell you, is no. The psychological mechanism that allows them to do this is a core feature of their disorder. Narcissists lack something called object constancy. A healthy person understands that a relationship can have both good and bad moments, and that love continues to exist even during conflict. A narcissist cannot do this. To them, you are either all good when you are serving their needs or all bads when you are defying them. Once you have been categorized as all bad by refusing to be controlled, they have no further use for you. They don't mourn the loss of the relationship because, to them, there was no real relationship to begin with. You were an appliance, a source of supply, and when one appliance breaks, you just throw it out and get a new one. This is why it hurts so much. The emotional impact on you, the victim, is devastating because you are grieving a profound connection that, for the narcissist, never existed. You are left trying to make sense of a shared history that one person has completely erased. It makes you question your own judgment, your own memories, your own sanity. But you must understand this shallow attachment reality: their hearts were never truly invested in you. You were a means to an end. Their flattery, their promises, their love, it was all a performance to secure their narcissistic supply. The speed with which they replace you is not a reflection of your inadequacy, it is a reflection of their emptiness. I've seen this countless times in my practice. I had a patient, a woman who had spent 10 years with a narcissistic partner. She had supported him through his career, raised their children, and endured years of his emotional abuse. When she finally left, he spent a month hoovering her with promises and threats. When she held firm, he discarded her. Within 2 weeks, he had moved another woman into their family home. He took this new woman on the same vacations, introduced her to their friends with the same glowing praise he once used for my patient, and posted pictures of her with their children using captions like, "So blessed to finally have a complete and happy family." It was a calculated act of cruelty designed to erase my patient and inflict the maximum amount of pain. This is the triangulation game. They don't just replace you, they use the new person to hurt you. They will deliberately flaunt their new relationship, making sure you see it. This social media flaunting is a power play. They are trying to win the breakup by showing the world, and especially you, how happy they are without you. They want you to feel jealous, worthless, and replaceable. They want you to believe the problem was you all along. Do not fall for it. What you are seeing is not real happiness. It is the first act of the same play you just escaped from. That new person is simply the next victim being love bombed just as you once were. Now, here's the part you need to hear. This discard, as painful as it is the moment your healing process truly begins. This is the moment they set you free. As long as they are still trying to hoover you, you are still entangled in their chaos. The discard is their final admission of defeat. It is the moment they give up on controlling you. It is a gift, even if it's wrapped in the ugliest paper imaginable. Your recovery strategy starts now. The first step is absolute total no contact. Block them on everything. Delete their number, archive the old photos. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. You need to create a clean break so you can begin to hear your own voice again. Next, you must focus on yourself. What did you love to do before them? What hobbies did you give up? Who were the friends you lost contact with? This is the time to reclaim your life and your identity. You have been living in a psychological war zone, constantly on high alert. You need to teach your nervous system how to be calm again. This means therapy, support groups, meditation, exercise, whatever it takes to bring you back to yourself. And as you heal, you must educate yourself on the red flags for future relationships so you never get caught in this trap again. Did they love bomb you at the beginning? Did they disrespect your boundaries? Did they isolate you from your friends? Were they incapable of taking responsibility? You ain't going to change these people. So your only option is to learn how to spot them and avoid them at all costs. You need to focus on building healthy connections. What does real love look like? It's slow, it's calm, it's based on mutual respect, not control and obsession. It's about two whole people coming together, not one person trying to consume the other. It involves accepting that people are flawed and that conflict can be resolved with communication, not rage or silent treatment. I'm telling you all this because I really want to have an impact on all of you and all of your lives. You deserve relationships based on respect, not control and manipulation. You deserve to be loved for who you are, not for what you can provide to someone else. Reclaiming your life and your identity after this kind of abuse is the hardest work you will ever do, but it is also the most rewarding. Let me have your comments. Let me have your questions about your own experiences with narcissistic abuse. Your story matters, and it can help someone else who is feeling lost and alone right now. In our next episode, we're going to talk about how to rebuild your self-esteem from the ground up after narcissistic abuse. Until then, have a good week, and I appreciate you spending this time with me.